Hello. Welcome to the final reading of the day. I promised I would open these three decks, and I'm going to stick to my word, and maybe that's a good thing to do. To start off this reading, whatever you do, like there's a samurai banner at the gym I go to, and it's one of the core principles is like what a samurai says. He does not need to promise anything. He does not need to like reinforce his word. His word is the same as the action. So like tell yourself you're going to do something and be that noble about it. Where it's like, if you said it, you're gonna do it. Like there's a part in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure where it's like, like I won't curse, but it's like Jotaro's like, finally you could say like gets the upper hand on somebody, and he says like the whole time, because he's in a situation where the guy can hurt Jotaro but Jotaro can't hurt him, and he's like literally tallying everything down that like he does, and like eventually he's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm just like keeping a tab basically. And like when he gets the upper hand, the guy's like, like you're actually gonna do it, right? And he goes, when I say something, I effing do it. And it's like he just goes full on, stand mode and just obliterates it. So, be like emergency call. Be on emergency call with God. Man, these cards are just so cool. Wow. Someone's like Wolverine. Someone's like, like a mutant. And that's like, a good thing. Like being a mutant is a good thing. It's like we are, you could say like humans that are beginning to like evolve into, new strengths and new powers, new how do I say this? New things that make humans beautiful to God. Yeah, like emergency call comes out again. It's like, be a sword. Be a sword, and it's a small world. Small world comes out, and again, this is my first time seeing this deck, so it's like a very special reading. It's like a very special reading, and I'm very happy to do it. Yeah, it's a small world, and that world is full of mutants. That world is full of mutants. This is the card I saw earlier. Triple Tactics Thrust. So, whatever tactics that you have, like your mutant tactics, where it's like your actual powers, like use it. If that's like creating a song, creating a story, brightening someone's day, doing channeling work like this, like thinking of ways to heal the world even passively, like this music, I see you guys kind of like it, and that's for a reason. It's 432 hertz, and I want this video to be like the start of like a butterfly effect, 303 on the timer. So, with the Holy Spirit flowing through me, please give us a, like what if I want to set a butterfly effect for this collective, and let's see what we're doing. Let's see what this collective is up to. You could say the spiritual realm, like their highest self. I want like everyone's highest self to be able to give you a message clearly. So let's see. Shuffle. 1, 2. Okay, there's a card that wants to say hello. We're like, we're going fast. We're going fast, and how do I say this? Like, welcome my shadow warriors that wield the light, you could say. Like, we're all, beautiful shadow warriors that wield joy, and that joy cuts darkness. That joy, breaks through barriers that people have set up for themselves to, yeah, 100%. Saber slash. You slash right through those barriers that people have set up just so they don't get hurt again. We talked about that in the last reading. Fire formation, Tenki. It's like, we're all in or how do I say this? Like fermenting almost. Like, temperature went up, you could say. It's like I get a notification for the like the weather is about to be like rise. Like the temperature is about to rise. 4444 on the timer. So we're all in formation. Like God's getting us all download in formation to like to really bring in the kingdom of heaven into this world. and like we're all information, we're all trying, like we're all like almost heard like fermenting, where it's like, you know, we're becoming like sweet, like sweeter confirmation, but we're becoming sweeter. Just watch JJK and this guy, like, you know, like him and Yuji, or not Yuji, him and Yuta are fighting, and like the whole time he's like, you know, there's like a scene of a table with like desserts, and it's like each hit there's like a bite being taken out of the dessert, and it's like, you know, that guy's like, you are sweet, Yuta. And it's not like a weird or freaky thing, the temperature goes up. It's not like a weird or, you know, like something to be like, what the hell? It's like, you know, I had to watch it twice to understand. It's like some people, like, you know, how do I say this? They become sweet. Some people become sour. Some people become cold. But some people love the challenge. Some people love, you know, clashing with, you could say, people that like are genuinely good people, but like they still want to, you know, go head to head, and that's okay. And that's okay. It's like, you know, there's so many whoa, awesome. Like across whoa, this is like, okay, I was gonna say, I thought it was an actual card, but this is like, you know, like cross generations. You could say like, you know, Yugi or like Yami in this situation right there is like, you know, Christ from you know, how do I say this? Like Christ then, and then you as Christ now. You could say it's like we're all versions of Christ, and we're all being put in formation. Like we're all. This is a freaky card. It's like, you know, we're all dragons for sure. Like, we're all dragons, and across time, I'm watching Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds right now, and it's like, you know, the Crimson Dragon, like, calls for everyone that is, like, a signer, that has, like, a mark, you know, and it's like a, it's like, you could say, like, Christ mark, you know, it's like, how do I say this, like, heck yeah, wow. You can see, like, the cape of Christ, right? Like red, you know, like being like dipped in blood, like in Revelations. And then the shield is like joy. You can see it's like, you know, kind of the color of like joy on the chakra chart, you could say. Yeah, clear on the my little notification. The shield is joy, but that thing still has a sword. But like you can tell just by its cape that it fights for Christ, that it fights for heaven to, you know, be established here. Heck yeah, this is cool. Whoa. And you become a sword master. Commander Souza, sword master. And again, same cape. Like everyone is fighting right now with like Christ on their back, you could say, like literally. Like, you know, Christ like being our cape. Oh, this is awesome. Saber combination. And like you could see, wow, like we're all in formation. We all have like different forms, different gifts, different like abilities, but like we're all crossing each other's timelines whenever we do like, you know, light work and also shadow work. But we all have like Christ as a cape, and we all wield the flame of the Holy Spirit. Boom. Second call. It's like, you know, the second coming, I'd say. Like Christ is coming back. Christ is coming back, and you know, he's like our commander. Like that is like, you know, you can see him like literally like wielding the light. Like that is like our commander. So, you know, when you go out there, be a shadow warrior that wields the light. You know, it's like, that's what I was saying earlier, like, welcome my shadow warriors. Yeah, this looks pretty much exactly what I'm saying. X-Saber Bruno. It's like you can see it's shadow, right? But it has like, you know, gold and purple like royalty. And it is in like, how do I say this? It's enshrouded in light, in joy. Man, these cards are so awesome. Like I am, you know, very pleased with this purchase. Awesome. So, like usually, right, when you're like, you know, like awakening, you're just this warrior that's like stayed alive this long, and like you have like, you know, you're pretty like unevolved, but like you're still a warrior, right? And then you kind of realize, like, wow, I'm going to do my best to become, like, pure light and joy. And it's like, that kind of works for a while, but sometimes you, like, feel the call to, like, to put on the cape of Christ and wield the sword and defend people with joy. And you become like a supreme sovereign. Like a supreme sovereign of the sword. And the sword of the Spirit, right? So it's like everything that we say is our sword. And you bloom, like you blossom into this dragon. Again, like being a shadow warrior that has the cape of Christ, like the red, right? And then the light is like always within you and also like enshrouding you. And this reminds me of like the Pirate King. Like that one moment from One Piece in the beginning, where it's like, Christ was like the Pirate King, and like we're all Luffy. Like we are all Luffy or Sanji, Nami's, Robins, Chopper even, like doctors, swordsmen, cooks. But like we all are like very badass and can like, fully be in the main character situation of like Christ's army. It's like we're all 11:11, talking about that. It's like we're all able to like be useful in the in the card deck of God, right? In the when God pulls you, when Christ pulls you, he's like, oh yes, like when it comes to like what you do. So it's like what you do is like a super rare pull. You could say like a gotcha. It's like, sometimes you gotta try, and you're like this, how do I say this? You're like this ram, when Christ has like the sheep and the ram, that kind of, those like prophecies you could say, where it's like, some are going to be sheep in the flock and some are going to be rams in the flock. And it's like, the more you become a ram and like, really fight for light and fight for love, you gain, how do I say this? You gain like standing in the army of heaven, to where it's like, you're not just a ram anymore. You're like a literal, like nobility warrior. Like a warrior of nobility. Heck yeah. I'm thinking of like Sage Mode. Like having like Sage Mode from Naruto, where it's like you just, how do I say this? You just sense danger sometimes. Where, you are, like, don't bite your tongue. Like, I bit my tongue saying that. It's like, don't bite your tongue when it comes to what God needs you to say, what God needs you to, like, put out there in vibration terms, It's like, don't, 116 on the timer, on the percentage, CPU percentage. Like, be Kikaru from Kaiju number 8. Like, no one dies on the battlefield when I'm here. Like, no one dies when I'm on the battlefield, you could say. And there's going to be, like, saber foul troll. There's going to be these, like, literal, like, foul trolls out there that just want to troll people, that just want to, basically belittle people. So it's like, you being a good vibration is, like, cleansing people. It's like cleansing people's timelines, where it's, even if they hear you and hate you, that seed is already planted by God. Like, they can't do anything about it. They have to remember your words. So keep speaking, even if you get like attacked by everyone. Again, Christ says, confirmation verb coming. Christ says, blessed are those who are persecuted for my name's sake, for great is your reward in heaven. He told us that directly. So he needs more people to not bite their tongue, to be a dragon, to be like, how do I say this, like, like slit-eyed, you could say, like serpent-like, it's like wise as a serpent, sharp-tongued, but like still, like dragons are very noble, kind beings that love family. Yeah, emergency teleport. It's like, we're getting like ready to like, how do I say this? Like full on be like emergency teleported, not like out of here. It's like heaven's gonna be emergency teleported here. You know, it's like once we, how do I say this? Like no matter what you do, 116 on the time on the CPU percentage again. Be someone that like would hold out forever if they had to spiritually on the battlefield, because like we're gonna be like, you know, full on like called again, like second called for second Christ, for, you know, Christ coming back the second time, and like we're gonna be like emergency teleported, it feels like. So 101 on percentage, yeah. So like guys, get ready, and like don't bite your tongue anymore. Do not bite your tongue when the Holy Spirit tells you to speak up. All right, like no matter what. No, I don't care what situation you're in. I don't care, like, you know, how many people could be against you. Like, go to war. The Holy Spirit's with you. And then, like, you know, once you've gotten through it all, make sure to heal, right? Like, so if you, like, you know, if you do go to war, like, spiritually, you know, in conversations or comment sections even, or, you know, just, like, trying to defend people from being bullied or ridiculed or put in despair, like, know that you're going to have to take on some people. And those people might not even be like real people, you could say. So like download, like don't, you know, you could say like 11:07 on the time. Made me touch my nose. Some people are not even like real people yet. Like until they awaken to having the Spirit of God within them, 1619 coming up. You know, they aren't like an actual, you could say like soul. It's like, yes, they have like, you know, the fire, right, the flame. But it's like they accepting Christ is what actually brings their soul into their body. You know, it's like, or actually awakens themselves to where they can actually, like, you know, hear from their highest self, and in their heart, like, speaks from their highest self's words, you could say, a little download. Yeah, so like don't be taken aback by literal foul trolls that you could say like damn near aren't even actual people, like, you know, ones and zeros in terms of, you know, being programmed into certain things from a young age, and they just don't want to be seeking, they don't want to be, you know, looking for God. So like, you know, don't treat people as not people, but understand that, you know, people that have not been awakened, like basically, like, you know, they need to hear your words because it will be sown into their soul for them to awaken. Like, you know, fire formation, right? So it's like, again, we're being formed to be people's flame, that, like, you know, your words alone is like planting seeds for God to sprout in their heart. And it's like, even if they're a beast, you can see it's like they're gonna, you know, those seeds are gonna sprout. They'll become this, like, you know, even if they're this huge tiger that is like has so many, you know, pain, has so much pain and has like claws, it's like, you know, your seeds that you sow, God will make sprout eventually. So do not bite your tongue. Like, keep on speaking, keep on, you know, bringing beauty into the world. Cloud Castle. This reminds me of like Howl's Moving Castle, where the girl is like cursed by a witch, and she, you know, she's a young girl, and then she becomes like very old age, and she, you know, she's still in love with Hal and goes after him, and she ends up regaining her youth, you could say, on this journey. It's like, you know, it was all meant to happen for her to like actually go outside of this, like, you know, hat shop that she's always worked at and, you know, has never left, and goes on an adventure that she like wouldn't have done, you know, if that all didn't happen, because she was looking for, I'm hearing things for sure, like I'm hearing things, you know, I'm hearing that in a good sense for sure, you could say. You know, so it's like, how do I say this, you know, don't let someone having to curse you into, like, you know, you not, like, not believing that you, how do I say this, you know, don't let somebody, how would I say this? Say if that happened to you, right? What would you do? Would you not, like, try to regain your youth? And that's the thing, some people need to regain their youth. Some people need to have their inner child awakened again. Double download. 117 on the percentage, for sure. Have their inner child, like, you know, be alive again, because it's been like sleeping for so long. It's been sleeping for so long, and they don't, you know, they don't have a, Like they don't even know where to start. They don't even know where to begin. So we gotta be that light and that like whimsical silliness and joy and like fun that is still cool and like mature, you could say. Like, you know, it's not like super childish. It's like being mature, but as a child. You know, it's like Lloyd from Seventh Prince, right? From I was reincarnated as a Seventh Prince to take my time perfecting my magical ability, which I'm doing right now. When we're on the percentage. So it's like, you know, that it's like an eternally youthful thing, right? It's like an eternally youthful being, but you also mature, right? It's like, you know, say you had like unlimited lifespan here and you never like aged a day, like you would still look the same, but you would be very mature. You know, it's like, but that's the thing. It's like, you know, you could like pull off being a child because you don't look like, you know, you're 1,000 years plus, right? It's like, you know, if you looked like that forever, you could, you know, you could get away with acting like a child forever if you wanted, and no one would bat an eye. But whenever an adult has like the whimsical joy of a child, their ego kicks in of like, I'm not doing that. And they don't realize that's what they need to heal like everything. 101 on the timer, 122 on the percentage. It's like that is the ascension of, you know, becoming a god. Becoming a god that's part of God's family, right? So you on that ascension path, like you gotta unlock your inner child more, you know, like care for your inner child. Like I have this book in this, or this character in this book named Terror, and he's like, you know, he's like a small little furball cat, like a white furball cat, but he's like a literal, like known as a monster, where it's like he like, you know, meets up with this this platoon that's like on their way to the kingdom, but you know the kingdom's not trying to attack them. They're just, you know, they're just like basically intercepting this other threat that might hurt everybody. So this, you know, this army is on the way, and Terror like skids up to them, and like they literally like break formation. They're like, even though it's this little like tiny furball, but that's like called Terror, you know. And it's like, so, and I wrote like the captain saying like, you know, when Terror's dad is like he slides up, right, 117 on the percentage, he slides up. And he with like a very fierce like pose and a frown. What doing? Like what doing? You know, he's just asked like, what doing? Like what are you doing? And just as this little kid, even though like these soldiers literally break formation, you know, like actually like can't stand 222 on the timer, like actually can't even like stand the side of him to where like they can't stay planted. Like they don't like, they're not like revolted by him, but they're like, yeah, that's Terror. Like, you gotta watch out for Terror. And some people couldn't even hold their pose, hold their formation. It's like, you can be that in real life, and people won't even, they'll break formation. They'll be like, what are you? And you'd be like, what doing? It's just, you know, and just be funny. Like, you don't have to be, like, everyone thinks they have to be so locked in all the time. So, you know, like, so, how do I say this without just saying the word egotistical? But, like, egotistical, you know? It's like they have to be, like, they have to feel not cringe, and they need everyone around them to not be cringe, or they're gonna like call them out. It's like those people are literal, you know, just little imps, like little goblins, full on. They're little goblins. The people that don't know how to do anything, but like, you know, how do I say this? Like they have like an image of themselves, which is obviously an ego, right? And it's like, you know, if they don't meet their standards, so if someone doesn't meet their standards, they like ridicule them, even just in their heart. And like that is what needs to go for, you could say, that cycle of ego to be broken, to be like obliterated in this world. And we need like cool people to show love and spread kindness. And even when they get attacked, they still show love and spread kindness. Because eventually those people, like those plain idiots, you could say, are going to realize how dumb they look. You know, when they can only, you could say, ridicule people because of one, either the way they look, what they've done, what they've accomplished, temperature rising, like how they think said people should be. It's like that does not matter to God whatsoever. God would never do that, even though he's the all-powerful overall entity, right? It's like our creator. So if you think you have, you know, the strength and like, you know, I've done all this and I look this way and I, you know, I am this, so everyone is like, you know, like I am able to judge these people. It's like, no, like you do not. God overall says like you do not. You have no authority to judge, only Christ. Only, but that's the thing. If someone is like, you could say like, doing something that what you could say like you could just feel in your heart might land them in hell, and you fight for that, like you even fight that person so that they, even if it takes like an hour of conversing for them to be like, okay, like, I can't really say anymore, to where it's like, they, temperature rising, it's like they realize that they're only speaking from hate and anger and ego. It's like you have to be the warrior. And some people like literally won't be able to, they can't even stand you just because you're speaking truth without caring about your ego or how you look or how you, what you've done or think. It's like, the people that are all in their heads, like big-headed, they would fight these words to the bitter end because they know their ego is being like taken apart. And if you've never had your ego taken apart, like, congratulations, but, make sure, like, if you can't love everyone unconditionally, at least the ones that you can tell are like, actually themselves, right? Even if they have like, a little bit of ego, but it's like they're not like, they wouldn't like hurt anybody with that ego. If you can't love everyone unconditionally, then it might be the wrong ego, right? It might be the wrong version of you that's within you right now. So, whatever you're going to do it in love, do it in light. And here's the thing. You'll know when somebody has an ego that just should not be there, when all they can do is like cuss you out or insult you or ridicule you, when you're like making like actual points, when you're like actually being a person and like actually trying to like talk to them, and they're just like this, that, dumbass this, whatever that. It's like those people you can just like, leave alone because they clearly can't stand having real words and someone's like real true self be present in their life, because they will have to rethink everything. They will have to rethink everything, and some people, like, how do I say this? Some people don't want to have to rethink everything 707 on the timer. They like don't want to have to start over from scratch or from zero, like, like Subaru from ReZero. It's like that guy dies every single episode sometimes, and he gets reset. And he's like, oh, well, I'll do it better this time. Some people will never do that once in their life. They will like let their first form that they've had since they were like 15 without even realizing it, all the way into adulthood, all the way past into this. And it's like, they don't think that wasn't their final form. They stick to one thing where it's, and that's what you could say makes people try to protect themselves at all costs. At all costs. Where it's like they won't let their ego die. And it's, I'm not gonna lie, it's a little embarrassing. It's a little, if anything, that's the most immature thing to do, is, not letting your child self who loved everyone in the world, regardless of what they saw, thought, heard, smelled even, who cares? It's like whatever. A child has a pure heart. And the people that think they're all big and bad because they have done this and that in their life and look a certain way even, they are doing the most immature thing of not like letting their child be part of them, like their child self be part of them, that like has the ability to love everyone as Christ did. The one that was always walking with Christ, because Christ, could actually speak to you in that time without all these distractions and expectations and like, thoughts of being judged or ridiculed. But some people have like grown so egotistically throughout their life and never let that ego die that they won't even let their own child self be a part of them, because they would think it's like gay or cringe or like, immature, when in reality it's the most immature thing to do, not letting your ego not letting your ego die once and being like your child self at least one time, and you might not even realize you've had the same exact personality since you were like 10, but you've like, you've grown to like, think you're like some crazy adult, but it's like you're still the exact same ego from when you were 10 years old. because you've never let anyone hurt you. Like you've never like grown. People, that's the thing. The people that have just like survived purely on their ego, they've never grown once in their entire life. No, and they would fight you tooth and nail, one-on-one on percentage, to say no, that's not true. No, you're just like, dude, that's not like, you know, like that's not being a man. It's like, dude, being a man is being the one that your child self can look up to and be like, wow, this is who I always wanted to be. I'm very cool, good looking, successful, you know, like in, how do I say this, the most important part, loving everyone, giving everyone kindness. And if you didn't, like, if you weren't raised that way, I'm sorry. Like, you know, some people's circumstances just, you know, full on shape them into like a bitter person. And it started when they were a child. And maybe you've had that bitterness in you, again, since you were like even like 5 because of the way you were raised, and just haven't realized it until now. So if you are hearing these words and this sounds like you know, like, do some inner work, do some shadow work within yourself, because there's a lot to heal. And when you heal that within you, that's when you'll really be able to see everyone as their own path, their own journey with God. So how could you judge anybody? Anyone. But some people have fought tooth and nail to keep their ego alive no matter what, to where they literally just can't love everyone because they think that, you know, they have to be on top. They have to be top dog, doing this, doing that. Yeah, I do this and I do that. Like, you gotta do this more. No, you gotta do this more. You gotta be this more. It's like those people are literally not realizing that they can't be happy without accomplishments and without like looking a certain way. And it's, again, it's a little embarrassing. Grown men, I see this like more than anyone. More than anyone. And it's, again, it's like, holy crap, have you ever tried evolving yourself, evolving your autonomy, your love, your heart, your ability to care about things and cherish things? Not just your family, not just the friends that you like, no, everybody. Do you even have the capability to do that? Ask yourself. And I'm sure I will get hate about this, but it's like, guys, you need to hear these words directly from the Holy Spirit. It feels like you need to hear these words that not everyone is out to get you. You don't have to be on top of everybody. If anything, Christ does say to become the first, you must become the last. To love everyone and put everyone above you, not you above them. And some people cannot stand these words. Let the Holy Spirit tell you that. Little download. Some people cannot hear these words without literally like having their ego that has, again, been inside of them since they were a small child and has not realized that they have not evolved that ego a single time. That ego gets really hurt and they start lashing out on you. They start attacking you. Like, let it happen. Let it happen, because they will be used as a grown adult example of someone being so childish that they have to lash out with like evolved cuss words that they know now and like new ways to hurt people that in reality is like the most childish thing to do is hurt somebody like deliberately. And that's like straight from God. Hurting someone deliberately is the most immature and childish thing to do as an adult. Especially a grown-ass man. Like us men, we need to be better. So many of us need to be better. Again, it's like, you know, some people will not be able to hear these words without like twitching an eyebrow. Because they don't realize that that kid version of them is their ego. Isn't that crazy? Their kid version of them is their ego. They've like kept an ego since they were a kid, instead of, you know, been their child self, been their, you could say, like adolescent self, became an adult, and then revisited that child self. For some people, that child self all that time ago is still the ego they've had through adolescent, through becoming an adult, and that child self within them will lash out at anything that tries to kill it, that tries to take it down. Even as a grown man, it's like a grown man not realizing that they're a grown children, that they're a grown child of, like, you know, how do I say this, that they are a grown version of their ego from when they were a child. So, it's hard to see, 4 for 4 on the timer. It's hard to see by the angels because that is when, like, they have such a late start on actually evolving their heart down low. A late start on evolving their heart as a grown adult. It's like some people never decide to look inward, to do any shadow work, to heal anything, and even heal anyone. Like, they don't care about anyone but their friends and family that they chose specifically because of, like they don't get out of their comfort zone. They can't love out of their comfort zone. Some people can't love out of their comfort zone, but like you can. You can. Yeah, I know you can. So it's, no matter who you come across, no matter who you have to be Christ for, like, do it. Do it and love them more because they need it more than you could ever know, like more than you could ever understand. I love you all, and thanks for being here. Thanks for showing up. Small world. It's a small world. Emergency call. Christ has you on emergency call sometimes. Like you might like do something in the world that's pretty small that like needed to happen because of circumstances where it's like Christ needed you to become this dragon and you blossom as one. So keep being your true self. Keep being the self that can love unconditionally, that your child self would be proud of, not because you're just like cool, but because you're cool and can love everyone like they imagine, like God, you could say. It's like, you could say the version of you that like they thought God would be like, right? Isn't that cool? Become the version of you that your child self thought God would always be like. Because in a way, that's how you truly be like God. Like Christ, is, being the version of you that the child version of you expected God to be like, right? So it's like, eventually, maybe you are the version of God that walked with your child self. So, keep going. Keep going. Yeah, emergency call. He's going, Christ got me on emergency call. Like, letting me be this, shadow warrior. Even if I had this card when I was a kid, I realized now, wow, that's so cool. That's so cool. I had this card when I was a kid. Like, what a little, confirmation. Saber hole. It's like you're punching a hole through your timeline to be the version, of your highest self, even if it's only like 20 years ahead, that like your child self could feel that it would become one day, and that's why it kept dreaming. That's why it kept loving. That's why it kept believing in all the cool things that it saw. Confirmation burp, all the, Naruto was like a very big inspiration for me, like wanting to become Hokage. And even being like Sasuke. It's like leaving the village too. It's like I took both paths, and both worked out perfectly. Yeah. Cool. It's like, how do I say this? Like you might, some egos are like this little like worm, you could say, that just, they don't, it's like a worm, then a serpent, then a dragon. Some people are still worms, ego-wise, you could say. And you have to become like a knight, and you have to accept, just like Subaru, that you might have to die 1,000,000 times for you to actually be your highest self now. And you become this, flowing jellyfish, you could say, of joy that, just goes with the current. Just goes with the flow of the universe. But sometimes you're also this, like, actual, like, beast master wielding a sword, So, yeah, cool. So for the last card that I cut the deck, it goes back to this. You and Christ, across generations, across timelines, across realities, across, literal, like, universes even, punching a hole through people's timeline for them to actually begin the journey of becoming their highest self, even if they're like 99. But some people are, just grown child egos that they don't realize they have had since they were a young child, the same exact ego. And that child ego has become strong because it's grown with you through everything, you could say. But like it doesn't want to die so bad that it's willing to like literally like, hurt others spiritually just so it stays alive. So if that sounds like you're just like a worm when you could be a serpent or a dragon. A dragon even. So like don't be a worm for longer. Don't be a worm anymore. It's like, why do you want to be a worm when you could be a serpent or a dragon? Why do you want to be something that is like, that has to like dig itself in the ground to survive? Yeah, like we're all being in formation. We're all being put in formation. So, keep rising. Yeah, well, I just cut the deck in the same exact card. Same exact card, and the next one, Christ returning, second call. So, be ready for Christ to come back. Called by the grave. Called by the grave. Get ready. Christ is coming back. Triple tactics talent. So use your talents, right? Use your talents to prosper. Pot of prosperity. To prosper as a knight of God. As a knight of Christ. Because he's coming back. He's coming back. So, like, fight on. Fight on. Wield the light, wield your sword, wield the Holy Spirit, and fight on. Fight those foul trolls. Fight all of the foul trolls. I'm going to hang out with actual Tessie. With like, the Nessie of Lake Tahoe. But she is, she's beautiful, I bet. And she's very kind and fun. The dragons want to come back, you guys. The dragons actually want to come back. So, if we, 100%, if we as humans can have pure hearts, they don't have to be like entirely full angelic, but pure hearts that don't hurt other hearts, even monsters, those monsters will show themselves and like be fun and in love with you, you could say, as a human. Where it's like, you don't understand, human. You are something very different. Dash the monsters of this world that have had to hide because of the evil in human hearts. Like, they can't coexist with foul trolls. Like, there's nothing to prosper, pot of prosperity, when it comes to human trolls, you could say. Like be rid of human trolls all around you. Be rid of them. Be rid of them. And you might know, like, personally some human trolls. Be rid of them from your life. Don't hurt them, because that would just continue the cycle. But, like, turn silent, and they will realize how much of a shining beacon you were in their life. And they'll realize one day, okay, this person was doing the right thing. This person was, actually hearing the call of God. And I was the one of the percentage that wasn't, 360 on the timer, that wasn't hearing it. It's a small world. So, like, build your castle in the sky. Build your castle in the sky with God. And you should always hear that call. Sometimes it'll be an emergency, sometimes it won't. One more card for this beautiful collective. One more card. Spirit, please give me something that really shines through. Yeah. Don't forget that sometimes you do start out like this, right? You hear the emergency call, and you become this like commander. So, be like a vice captain of Christ, right? Be like a vice captain that is like a beast tamer, because you sow seeds in people that are just plain beasts that, just think like an animal. Basically, they just think like an animal. An animal, like in the animal kingdom, it's like, everyone thinks it's kill or be killed, like ego or spiritually wise. It's like, when in reality the end goal, upcoming earnings, is for everyone to be able to love each other as their true self, right? Like no one, 4444 when I said that. Everyone being able to like not only accept everyone else's true self, but love it, but love them. Because that is who they were always meant to be. If someone has been like bullied into a colonel, colonel. Ooh, maybe we're colonels now. Way past vice captain now. Cool. 117 on the percentage. You know, some people. How do I say this? You know, just keep fighting. Keep fighting for what you know is right. Keep fighting what you know is love, what you know is God, because there you are with Christ, raising a fist together, temperature rising. What is behind that? Fire formation. Christ is putting you in formation. So keep loving. Keep being beautiful. 45-45. Go 45 for 45 every day of the strong and keep being loved. I love you all. Take care.